going on, everybody? Happy Thirsty Thursday. Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Celly right here on our FTN YouTube page. Chris Meaney and Eric Young here with you. The Eric Young at Chris Meaney. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out. Happy Halloween to those that celebrate. I've seen you dressed up before at Halloween parties. You got anything on the go this weekend? Last weekend, maybe?
I was a massive Halloween guy when I was younger. I feel like I'm so busy now. I don't really get a chance to party. And the reality is my life kind of like Halloween. I dress up every weekend, and pretend to be a tough guy. So I don't know if it's as special as it used to be. I'm actually going on an RV trip with my wife. So we'll be at Spacious Skies Campground in Monterey, Tennessee here later this afternoon. And I'm actually kind of worried that kids are going to come to the trailer looking for candy and I won't have any. I'm really zeroed in on my diet right now. And maybe I'll give them bags of ground turkey. That's the only thing I'll have.
So say maybe you have to go pick up some candy, but that sounds much better for the kids.
Yeah, dry ground turkey, maybe a small snack bag of carrots or organic carrots. There you go, guys. Enjoy.
I love that.
I'll be that place.
I'll go to a Halloween party this weekend at my buddy's barn, but yeah, I mean, I'm in an area where there's no kids. Unfortunately, I do enjoy it. I'd enjoy having a few kids pop over and just, filling up their sack with a bunch of chocolates and candy, but is what it is. I'm kind of in the boonies, tucked away in the woods. Nobody can see where I'm at, next to a highway, so won't have any kids, but we'll celebrate this weekend. 7 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. Do a solid smash the like button. If you have any questions, again, you can leave them there. Always circling back on these videos. I know some people are watching the replay, and unfortunately the show not available via a podcast, wherever it is that you listen to your favorite podcast. It's just here on our YouTube page. Seen some people still reach out to me about that. Not our decision, just the way it is with the short shelf life with this show. So we have some sponsors in the show and, some of our shows across FTN. So just the way that it is, but really want to shout you guys out again for all the support. Smashing like buttons, commenting, all that stuff really does help out the algorithm. And this show's been doing pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with how it's gone. So really do appreciate you guys. Okay, so we'll get after it. Again, if you are watching the replay and you had a question about tonight, you had a question about your season hockey league stuff, you can leave it there in the comment section. Always circling back there. Shemansky in the house. Morning, fam. What's going on? Mitchkoff, give us your thoughts on, I know you're watching everything pretty closely. You're watching the Flyers a lot closer than we are. What's your thoughts so far through a couple weeks of seeing Mitchkoff there in the Philadelphia Flyers? Troy's in the house, homesick from school today. Do you have any bets to make me feel better? We'll try our best here. EY certainly has a couple for sure. Good morning, y'all. Let's go Jackets. You did call that on Tuesday that the Blue Jackets would take care of the New York Islanders, and they certainly did. Good stuff. Tuesday's show was pretty awful in terms of sides. I think we nailed a lot of props, but the sides were brutal. Good call by you with the Kraken over the Habs. That game was over 3 minutes into it. Was on the Kings. Was on the Rangers. Yeah, it was not a good day, so we're here to bounce back. Oh, and by the way, we do have some hockey gear over at ftnfantasy.com. If you are looking for some, you can get 10% off using promo code FTN October. And EY, they got that logo really from you with the Dangle Bet Celly t-shirts, as you see there with the hockey mask. How sweet is that?
Yeah, they're awesome, man. Yeah, they're awesome.
All right, so let's get back over to the schedule here tonight. Let's start with the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes went on a West Coast trip and were extremely successful. A couple overtime games there, but they lost they won their first one against Pittsburgh and then they lost to St. Louis. But after that, they took care of the Canadian teams. Edmonton 3-2, Calgary 4-2, beat Seattle 4-1, and then Vancouver 4-3. Sebastian Aho is on a heater at the moment. He's had at least 2 shots in 7 straight games. He's got a couple there with 3, actually 4 of the 7 with 3, and then another one with 9. He's also had points in 6 of his past 7 games. Got a couple multi-point games in there as well. From a DFS standpoint, I've been interested in him and Svechnikov and Shane Gostisbehere, who's doing a lot of good things as well. Like Brent Burns is the guy that's taking a backseat on that top power play, but Gostisbehere's got 7 points through 8 games. He's starting to get picked up across most fantasy hockey leagues. He's got at least 2 shots in 3 straight, 3 shots in 2 of those 3. And he's hit the score sheet in 6 of his last 7 as well, and 3 of them on the power play. And, Svechnikov, Aho, Gostisbehere, I think that makes for an interesting 3-person stack in DFS. And if you wanted to just try to get some value there and maybe roll with the 5-5 line, because we know that they're a good 5-5 team, I shout out to Jack Roslovic, who's got 4 goals through 8 games, no assists. He is shooting, but he's playing with Sebastian Aho. The Bruins just don't do it for me, man. I can't do Lindholm anymore. Like the first couple days, 3 games in a row with a point, and it's like, great, Lindholm. This guy may be a moneymaker for us. And now all of a sudden, like 7 games in a row without a point. The Bruins can't score. They've been shut out in 2 of their last 4 games. They've been held to 2 or fewer goals in 4 of their last 5. I'm not feeling them here tonight. I understand that. The one thing that just gives me pause is like you always see this across the NHL, those lengthy road trips. You have those road trips, East Coast team, West Coast, then they come back first game, maybe a little flat, vice versa. West Coast team, East Coast, go back home, potentially a little flat. But the Bruins haven't showed me a whole lot here so far this season. I kind of feel like minus 164 is a lot on the money line, best number I'm seeing, but I do like them. The Bruins checking in at plus 145, and we have a total here of 6. And I kind of have a lean to the under because the Hurricanes don't give up a whole lot. Still have Swayman between the pipes on the other side, and the Bruins are not scoring. They're a one-line team, and I'm actually concerned. I think last year, and we said it on Tuesday, but last year we thought the regression was going to come. I think we're seeing it this year. Like, they are extremely thin after their first line. I think they're in trouble. I like the Hurricanes tonight. What do you got over there?
Yeah, I feel like us and just the NHL predictors in total have been saying this for the last couple of years. Like I think last year everyone was really scared. They come out unbelievable, like nobody can beat them. This year, it looks like age is kind of caught up with them. Marchand looks not effective really at all. I still think he's a good player. I just don't think he's the player that he was. Lindholm started off well and hasn't been invisible and has been demoted to the second line. I've got him to score tonight because I think he turns around because I think he's a really good player, but that doesn't mean I believe in Boston. I think Boston's cooked. Do I think they will make it interesting and maybe sneak in maybe in a wild card position? I'm not going to go against that because after all, they all are the Boston Bruins and I am a tortured Toronto Maple Leafs fan. So I'm just not allowed to write them off. I did that a few years back, and we all know what happened there. So the Boston side, I'm going Pasta at plus 140, Lindholm at plus 320. Carolina side, I'm going Aho at 155 and Svechnikov at plus 200. I love the Svechnikov plus 200, shooting the puck like a complete lunatic as usual. And I think if someone's going to score for Carolina tonight, it's going to be Svechnikov.
Yeah, I would say that would be my pick too. Like I really do like that top line. So like Aho, Svechnikov, maybe same game parlay for points. Shane Gostisbehere is plus 114 for a point. The shot props are a little much. Like I know I'm picking on Boston here. I look at their 5-5 numbers. They're still kind of decent, not as stingy as years past, but they're right in the middle of the pack in terms of allowing shot attempts and allowing shots at 5-5 per 60. And the Hurricanes, no surprise, they lead the NHL in shot attempts at 5-5 per 60. They're second in the NFL in shots at 5-5 per 60 as well. And then they're first in scoring chances. They're first in high danger chances. So this is still a team that just brings it at 5-5. And sometimes those shot attempts are from, just inside the blue line or in the corner, and Rod Bredmore, preaching pucks on net. But so far, a lot of these chances are quality chances. According to Natural Stat Trick, they're right in the slot. So I don't see like great odds on Aho or Svechnikov really for a point. They're all like minus 200 or something. But I'll shout out Roslovic again one more time. Not seeing anything for a point, but he's plus 360 for a goal. He's minus 140 for 2 shots. That's probably the best number. I'm seeing Aho at minus 150 for 3 shots. Svechnikov, your boy, is 3.5 plus money. 4 is a lot to ask for. Shane Gostisbehere is 2.5 plus money. So the days of 1.5 are gone, but maybe you can do some sort of same game parlay with like Aho, Svech, and Gostisbehere, maybe 2, and Jack Roslovic. I think Jack Roslovic's interesting here. Minus 140 for 2 shots. He's had at least 2 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his past 6. He's had 3 in 3 of them and 4 in 2 of them. So, and he's taking advantage right now. Not getting any apples, but taking advantage of some shots like the Hurricanes tonight. Let's see what the crew says here. Parsons picks. Florida Indy wrestler before 2 shows this weekend, taking a midweek vacation to see Preds first time. Pearson's picks in your wrestling ring. Troy, I legitimately think the Islanders might be the worst team in the Metro. I think the Penguins are the worst team in the Metro. But yeah, Islanders are the same old Islanders, really. Haven't watched much as I'd like to, but he is, as advertised, just super smooth out there and makes a lot of under-the-radar smart moves with the puck protection. Yeah, I noticed the protection, too. He is, he owns the puck.
Big body, too, right? Like, I mean, he's a kid, but he's big.
Yeah. Lehkonen back versus Seattle on Tuesday. Okay, let's keep her going. Montreal, Washington. All right. Habs, man. They can surprise you and win a hockey game against a good team, and then they can allow 8 goals the very next night. And it's not on Montembeault. My goodness, Team Canada is in a whole lot of trouble with Montembeault, Aiden Hill, and Jordan Bennington at the helm. But the Habs at the end of the day is something we talked about. Shot attempts allowed at 5 and 5 per 60. Only the Ducks have allowed more. The Sharks just behind Montreal. Like, no surprise. Ducks, Canadiens, and Sharks. These have been the worst teams in hockey over the last couple of years. Shot attempts allowed at 5 and 5 per 60. Top few: Pens, Ducks, Canadiens, Red Wings right there as well. And they got smoked last night. Scoring chances against: Ducks, Canadiens, and Sharks at 5 and 5 per 60. High danger chances allowed: Pens, Canadiens, Ducks. Rangers at number 4. Igor has actually been really good for them this season. So the Habs are in trouble, but I'll tell you what, man, you're looking for an upset, like plus 170 against a Washington team. I actually don't hate it. Certainly could happen. The Capitals, off to a hot start. They were great, but they don't have a lot of firepower. Pretty stingy defensively. I like some of their the pickups that they've had so far this season. It's proof that they may be a better defensive squad. They only have 2 losses on the year: 5-3 loss to the Devils, and then a 3-0 loss on October 26th to the Lightning. And they really did take it to the Rangers the other night. They were all over them. If it wasn't for Igor, that probably would have been like an 8-2, 8-3 hockey game. Ovechkin had 2 goals, and now he's got 4 goals in his last 5 games. You got Ovi and Caulfield to score tonight?
You know it, buddy. Yeah, you know it. Montreal side, I'm going Caulfield and Slafkovsky. He looked real good coming back. Wheels in on the forward check, his normal aggressive self. Really like him. And the best thing about Slafkovsky is he's plus 400 playing on the second line, playing on the top power play. Yes, please. Yeah, yes, please. And then I got Ovi 135. Anytime he's a positive, I'm going to go for it. And he's hot right now. So I like that. And George's old buddy, PLD, Washington coach, said that Pierre-Luc Dubois has arguably been their best player. And that's good to see. He's at plus 240 to score.
Yeah. Centering that second line with McMichael, who had like 10 shots the other night, and Tom Wilson as well. So, yeah, I've been down the Pierre-Luc Dubois road. We all have a few times. He's plus 100 for a point. It's not too shabby, like you said, on that second line. And not on that first power play. They got Jacob Vrana and Mangiapane on that first line. Those 2 guys are interesting because they're on that first power play line. I bet you they both have really good odds to score goals tonight. Jacob Vrana's plus 380 to score a goal. The Habs live in the penalty box. Their penalty kill has been fantastic, but it's only a matter of time. These are pretty interesting long shots. Vrana at plus 390. Mangiapane, I feel like that's your boy. Plus 350. And what'd you say Sloth was? 4-1?
Yep, 4-1.
The Habs have shuffled up their lines a little bit. Yeah, I like it too. They have Heineman on the top line with Suzuki and Caulfield. They have Kapanen with Doc and Slavkovsky. They got Newhook on the fourth line with Yoel Armia and Christian Dvorak. I think Cole Caulfield for a point. I don't know why. Like he's around minus 130, minus 135 past couple of games for a point. I mean, he's been scoring goals almost every single game. He's got 9 so far. He's minus 135 to pick up a point. So I like that. And then Suzuki's around minus 160. So I kind of dig that too. Like if anybody's scoring here on the Habs, it probably is just like those two, or you mentioned Slavkovsky and Doc. So minus 160 is pretty juicy. Maybe you can put those two together. Caulfield and Suzuki probably get around plus 130, plus 135. Has Pierre-Luc Dubois been shooting? I haven't even really noticed. He's got 1 goal on the season. He has been shooting 3-4-4-3. Every time I go back to this guy, the very next show, you know, we're making fun of it. We're talking about Dubois shit in the bed. We're doing one of these.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
Just hanging around.
just hanging around. I think Pierre-Luc Dubois may be interesting at plus 135 for 3 shots, given the fact he said 3 shots in 4 games. I heard what you heard as well with the coaching staff talking him up. For Ovechkin, he's also plus money, but he's at 3.5 shots. I don't hate that. I might take a stab on the Habs here tonight, guys. Classic. Costa's Corner classic. Bye, guys. You on the Caps? I will never bet on PLD. Yeah, you're smart. You're smart. You're on the Caps tonight? It's probably the smart.
I am. Yeah, I am. They've been good, man.
Yeah. Tom Wilson's been pretty. He's been quite cooled off a little bit. I noticed that he was like plus 200 for a point to start. And
start of the season, he was like all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move right along here. St. Louis and Philadelphia. Man, the Blues led an ag the other day. Oh my goodness! And then I heard after the game that they were spending some extra time in Montreal and Toronto between that road trip. I mean, of course they're going to, right? Like if you've ever been to Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa, like Ottawa is going to be your least favorite place. I'm sorry, Costa's Corner.
Yep.
I've lived there. I've lived in Toronto. I've lived in Ottawa. I've been to Montreal too many times to count. So not surprised to hear that the boys spent maybe another night on St. Catherine Street, and you spent a few hours on St. Catherine Street. That'll catch up to a guy. They laid an egg against the Sens, lost 8-1 after a 5-1 victory against Toronto and a 5-2 loss to the Habs. This team has coughed up 13 goals over the last 2 games. So now they're in Philadelphia to take on the Flyers. Checking in on the money line. The Flyers are slight favorites here at minus 130 and St. Louis at plus 116. I can't really get assault. John Carlson, Montreal just gave up 5 goals to defensemen last game. I can't really get a feel on either of these teams. Like I feel, man, the Flyers score like 5 or 7 against the Wild. I'm like, okay, here we go. They can't get anything against the Habs. They get shut out against the Bruins, or maybe they had a goal or two. But I don't have too much that I like in this game. I've gone to Sean Couturier over the past couple games, thinking that he would be okay, you know, playing with the big boys, and he's been quiet. Maybe it has been the right process to go back to him. Michkov, Couturier, and Konechny on that top line, or Owen Tippett, just given the fact that the Blues have allowed 13 goals in their last 2 games. Maybe they tighten up here just a touch, but there seems to be a little bit of a track record there so far. What do you got on your card?
I'm going Kyrou and Neighbors Kairu's 220 and Neighbors is 270, plus 270. And on the Philadelphia side, Travis Konechny at plus 150. Love him as a player. Been a little quiet lately, but I think he's still their most important player. I'm going to go tip it at plus 200.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time really before he breaks out. Neighbors at 2.5 shots is a bad call the other day, although like I still believe in him. Like the usage is higher. He's shooting. He's now at 1.5 at minus 143 at Bet Rivers. That's one that I'll probably get on board with. And he's plus 115 for a point. So it's kind of still the guy, like it's Neighbors and it's Kairu. Like those are the only Blues I feel comfortable getting behind, like to hit the score sheet or score goals. And I like the Konechny, and typical. Tippett, I'd say Tippett is minus 120 for a point is not too bad. I'll get sucked. I'm going to get suckered in here to Sean Couturier, guys. Proceed with caution. Plus 115 for a point. Like the fact that he's on that first line, he's on that first power play, he's with two guys like Konechny and Michkov. I can't really ignore it. So I'll probably go down that well again with Sean Couturier and Jake Neighbors. Who do you think wins?
Oh, geez. I'm going to go Philadelphia at home here. I think Tortorella is an excellent coach. No matter what, like even when they lose and weird stuff happens, they just compete all over the ice. And that's the team. I think Philadelphia wins tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you on Philly. Sometimes when a team gets smacked in the mouth like that, maybe there's some sort of bounce back. But at the end of the day, I don't really think they have the personnel to kind of just flip the switch and be awesome defensively all of a sudden. Okay, next game, Penguins and Ducks. Get some spreads here on the board for you guys, but I'll give you some odds using the parlay calculator. The Penguins are minus 172 over at FanDuel, and other books hanging minus 185 for this garbage Pittsburgh squad. The Ducks at plus 158. These guys are live dogs tonight. Like probably a better upset call than the Habs. Both bad, but at least Anaheim has a little bit more to offer offensively. They got some guys that are having good seasons. Like I think we brought up I think they call it the second line. I think they've shuffled some things around a little bit in Anaheim. Okay, so they had Terry and Frank Vetrano going. The lines right now are Fabry, Leo Carlson, and Terry. Vetrano, McTavish, and Stone, and then Gauthier, Zegras, and Killorn. So they've really shuffled things up just a touch. I kind of liked Leo Carlson with Cutter Gauthier. Frank Vetrano's up to he's shooting again. So that's a guy that I like at minus 145, getting a little bit juicy. This is where he was to start the season, and we know that he moved to 3.5 at one point. So Vetrano at 2.5 is not too bad. Ricard Raquel, a little revenge game for the old boy. Remember him in Anaheim? Hardly remember him in Anaheim, but Ricard Raquel up on that top line. Rust hurt, one line team essentially. He's minus 130 over at Bet Rivers. It seems like Rivers is the place to be. Minus 130. So Vetrano and Raquel are my two shooters, and I may get involved with a couple more. We'll toss it over to you. What do you like?
Yeah, Terry, it looks like he's kind of running back into form. He was banged up, most of last year and wasn't the player that he was the year before that, but he looks like he's kind of rounding in form, shooting the puck. Anaheim's, they're not going to make the playoffs, I don't think. No. He's plus 260, and I'm going to go with McTavish. He's centering that second line and playing on the top power play now, a player that I really like. He, doesn't shoot the top puck a ton, but getting the call up to the top power play I like, and the fact that he's plus 360 is what I like the most. Pittsburgh, usual suspects, Crosby and Malkin, centering the top two lines, playing on the power play together. But man, Pittsburgh stinks. They stink. And just a heads up for season long, Dostal, the Anaheim's goalie, has been wild red hot over the last couple weeks. Last game turned aside 40 shots, let in one goal. His save percentage right now, goals against average, is 2, which is pretty wild for an Anaheim team that's not great. And his save percentage is .943. So, and like the reality is I was like, oh, geez. I mean, not really super familiar with him, but I read a thing and I went into my leagues and he was available in 3/4 of my leagues. So obviously I play in a bunch of pretty sharp leagues, but he was still available. So if you're looking for goaltending, he's supposed to start tonight and has been really, really good. And I'm not worried about Pittsburgh.
No. Yeah, I like the call. We've talked a lot about him in DFS because he's always so cheap. And I think if you're just new to daily fantasy sports and DraftKings and FanDuel, you're putting together some lineups, like don't spend up on the goalie. You know, sometimes you see goalies like maybe Connor Hellebuck up at the top at like 8.5, 8.6, and you know, maybe they don't. It's all about saves. You just talked about it, saves. So even if he lets in 2 or 3 goals and he gets the 35 save bonus, and he's going to get them every night because the Ducks are going to be among the leaders in allowing shot attempts and shots every single night. So, yeah, you're in a fantasy hockey league with saves bonus. You play DFS, you get the save bonus. That's the way to attack. Save a little bit on salary at the goaltender position and hope they just don't get lit up or pulled. But yeah, you're right. He's been really good. I own him in a couple spots as well, and he really should be owned across the board and considered in DFS, like when the Ducks play. This is what I talked about. Petrano's got 3 shots in 4 straight games. Rickard Rakell for a point is just -135. He scored 2 goals the other night. He's up on that top line, right? So he's got points in 4 of 5 and 7 of 8, or 7 of 9 rather, for Rickard Rakell. And Troy Terry enters on an 8-game point streak.
Yep.
So he's -125 for a point. I like that better than the shots. And then I wanted to bring up Cutter Gauthier. I wish he was playing with Leo Carlson, but I don't mind him playing with Zegers. A little bit of a pass first guy though. They've been rolling a lot of their lines. What is he for shots? He's at +135 at DraftKings for 3 shots. It's the only place that I'm seeing. I think he's starting to just get a little bit more comfortable in the NHL. He's got back-to-back games with 4 shots. He's had at least 4 shots in 3 of 4. So maybe we stay clear of him with only 11 minutes the other night. Maybe just the way that they've juggled their lines. Him on that third line is maybe not ideal, but certainly Frank Vetrano, Troy Terry, and Rickard Rakell are guys that are moving up the ranks here a little bit. Started a little early today. Yeah, Thursdays at 10. We got the NFL betting show at 11:30, and I host that. And last time I was just like, I went from this to that, and it just is not good for my health. Zane Meaney picked 2 out of the 4 rest of the season in a banger leagues. We'll get EY's thoughts here too. Neighbors, Toffoli, Monahan, and Russ. Couldn't help but Neighbors has been invisible anytime I've watched the Blues. Yeah, like he's probably the guy to cut. He is sneaky good in bangers leagues because he throws his body around, but Toffoli's on a heater right now. We like him heading into the season. So is Monahan, and Russ is always hurt. So I'd say Russ has the highest ceiling of the 4. He would be the guy that I'd like to hang on to, like in my IR plus spot. You know, he's going to be linked to Crosby all year long. But I'd say like I'd be comfortable going Monahan and Toffoli. Monahan's going to continue to get the ice time. He's going to be the number 1 center for the Columbus Blue Jackets all year long. He's shooting the puck. And Toffoli too, like he was in the undervalued section over at FTN Fantasy. These guys all were, and they all showed up. We talked about that on Tuesday. Zetterlund 2 goals. Wallman had like 3 apples. Toffoli was good again. Granlund was good again. All of those Sharks, they're a bad team, but they're just going to play so much. The usage rate is going to be so high with those players. Like he's not going to do anything for you in a bangers league, but he's going to shoot the puck and he's going to hit the score sheet here and there. I would go to Foley and Monahan, but I try to find a way, Zane, just to maybe hang on to Russ. Is there a timetable for him? He's on IR. He's always hurt. You could just drop him. Just move on from him and, you know, keep an eye on him when he gets closer to return. So Monahan and Foley there. Okay. Moving right along. Some sneaky good stuff. I'm going to back the Ducks tonight for an upset. Screw it. I mean, you just talked about.
I started with them with my DFS lineup this morning, and I'm as happy to do it.
Yeah, +158 on the money line. What's the reverse puck line for them? Reverse puck line is -160. It's okay. Just take them on the money line. Maybe they go into Pittsburgh and win a hockey game. Okay, Seattle and the Leafs. You like the Kraken tonight?
Nope. You're not going to get me to say that. No way. Toronto at home. I mean, there's a bit of an enigma so far this season, but Seattle, I have shown that. I mean, they're just not a great team. Not a lot of depth there. They're interesting, right? Like, I mean, there's nights where like they could be good and they look like they're good, and there's other nights where they look lost. But I think you could probably say the same thing about the Maple Leafs, which is scary. Seattle, I got McCann at plus 260, and someone who's earning more ice time, a guy that I've talked about a bunch, Ilya Tolevin. Tollevin's playing on the second line and playing the shooter position on that top power play opposite of McCann. He's plus 420 to score. I like the number 420, and I like the odds of 420 to score. Matthews and Nylander on the Toronto side.
Love it. What'd you make of the new look Tavares, Nylander, Pacioretty line? Pacioretty, as long as he's healthy, I mean, he's lost a foot. He's definitely lost a step or two over the course of his career, and like ruptured his Achilles twice. But look, I thought he looked
still a big body, still a smart player, right? Like coming in cheap, and like he's just like earned ice time, and it just keeps going up, and he keeps earning, up more ice time and a more prominent position on the team. And I'm all for it. He's been doing really well. That's another guy in season long. He's probably available out there, and he's playing, important minutes for a really good hockey team. And more importantly, is playing with really good players. So yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, he's plus 135 for a point tonight. He's plus 260 for an assist. He had 3 assists the other night.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes he played was the most he's played with the Leafs. I mean, 13-9, 10, 12-9. He's missed a couple of games. I think he's on some sort of load management type of deal as well. So they'll be cautious with him. But once upon a time, one of my favorite players to pick and for shot props, because he loves to shoot the puck. We're not going to do it tonight. But the fact that he's coming off a game with 3 assists, and he does have 5 points in 7 games, plus 135 for a point tonight for Max Pacioretty. Brendan Montour, wish I pushed him a little bit more. We had all those Kraken guys, Eberle point, McCann point. We talked about Montour for a point as well, despite the fact that he's not on that top power play. I think that he should be, but he's not. Regardless, this is a guy we've nailed so far in the fantasy hockey kit. He's a top 70 fantasy hockey player currently right now. He's averaging just under 24 minutes a night. He's got 9 points in 10 games, and he's been shooting. He's had at least 3 shots in every game but 2 so far this season. And because it's the Leafs, we're actually getting plus money tonight. Brendan Montour plus 100 for 3 shots over at Bet Rivers. I like it. I like the Bjorkstrand call. McCann, little revenge. What did he spend? Like a half a minute with the Leafs?
Half a minute.
Probably should have kept him, eh? Over Kerfoot? Yeah, man.
Yes.
He's minus 120 for a point. McCann. I dig it. I drank a little bit of the juice the other day, minus 150.
Plus 260 to score.
I mean, he really is that shooter on the power play. If you watch their power play, he goes outside of the circle. You can't even see him. He goes out of the pitcher almost to wind up out of the blue, and then he gets the puck in the blue, and then he times it and he shoots, kind of like what they do with Suzuki. Yeah. So Montour he's back. We're so back. Montour plus money. We're back, baby. Let's go. I see plus 120 for a point for Montour as well. Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, It is a tougher matchup against the Leafs. Stolars, as long as it's Stolars between the pipes, like
it's supposed to be.
He's been pretty solid all year. Solid last year too. So I don't hate that. I think I like McCann a touch more at minus 120, Pacioretty at plus 135, Montour for the 3 shots. But yeah, plus 124 I'm actually seeing for Montour for a point. Use the prop shop there. I think he's interesting, guys. But I do think it's a tougher matchup. All right, Edmonton and Nashville. Life without McDavid does begin tonight. I mean, he only played 37 seconds or something silly the other night. He suffered the injury first shift against Detroit's Columbus Blue Jackets. He's going to be sidelined here for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that does open up an opportunity for certain players, and that player is Jeff Skinner, who's going to play on the top line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. So we've always liked Skinner's shot props. In Buffalo when he's on that top line, even at times this season, we've dove into Jeff Skinner knowing that, third line, second line duties. He's minus 130 for 3 shots over at DraftKings. It's probably one of my favorite plays here tonight because, there's no McDavid. Obviously, it's a big loss, but it's an opportunity. Like Skinner's been playing 14, 15 minutes. There's a couple games with 11 and 12. I would say up on that top line tonight with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, that this guy may just live in the 18-minute mark range tonight. He's got 36 shots in 10 games. He's cleared 2.5 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those 10 games without that boost. He's plus 120 for a point. Get this. Is he on the first power play tonight? Let's see. His odds to pick up a power play point, they don't have him on there. You know what I actually saw at practice yesterday? Oh yeah, they do have this. Daily Faceoff is on this. Matthias Ekholm on the first power play unit. So they're going Ekholm, Bouchard, Hyman, Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins. So the first time in, it's got to be years. The Oilers are going to roll with 2 defensemen on the first power play. So they'll have Skinner on that second unit. I just saw Jeff Skinner at plus 650 for a power play point, and I was like, whoa, plus 650 for a power play point. Is he going to be on that first unit? If so, giddy up. Pretty good odds for him to score a goal tonight, too. Plus 310. I think it might be a Jeff Skinner night. I know it's your Preds, but I like Skinner. I like Skinner for a point at plus 120. I like him for 3 shots at minus 130. A little sprinkle in the goal at plus 310. And then Leon Draisaitl should, eat up as much ice time as he can handle as well. He just had a big donut against the Blue Jackets, didn't do anything. But 3 shots on goal for Leon Draisaitl is minus 124. And I know you got some Pred stuff over there, so take it away.
Yeah, I definitely got Draisaitl at plus 125 to score, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is at plus 270, going to play on the wing on that top power play and playing on line 1. So love that. Line 1, that's how it's listed. I think the Draisaitl line is probably line 1, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to play with Hyman on the top, listed as the top line. On the Nashville side, I'm going Forsberg at plus 145 and Stamkos at 165. Let's go, Preds.
Preds take it down. Nice. They're turning things around a little bit, right?
Something's got to go here. It's just.
What do they do? Do they shuffle up their lines? Do they try to play like Forsberg with like Stamkos or something? Do they?
I don't know, man. They have it. They've done a little bit of moving things around, but not enough for my liking. This is their best team they've ever had on paper. I don't think it's arguable. I've been here for a long time and I can't remember them having a team this good on paper. I think they've had teams that have overachieved and teams that have looked really good, but I'm saying on paper, if you look at who they have, the personnel, where guys are playing and slotted on the lineup, everything is right. And they just haven't quite figured it out. But hopefully tonight will be the first step. McDavidless Oilers is a good time to get right at home. Halloween. Let's go.
Halloween. Marchessault's up on that top line. I didn't notice that. So Marchessault with O'Reilly and Forsberg. So that's the start of a switch. He's minus 125 for a point. I like that quite a bit. And he's minus 140 for 3 shots. So Sammer, Novak, and Nyquist on that second line. Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Marchessault. I can certainly get behind that. Marchessault for a point at minus 125, pretty solid. Oilers haven't gotten good goaltending. It does sound like Pickard's going to be between the pipes, but no McDavid is obviously. You guys don't need us to tell you that's a big loss. So Skinner and Marchessault kind of my guys here tonight for goal scorers in that game, and I think they're both pretty good odds just for a point straight up. Alan in the house. Well, Dylan Strome for a point. Yeah, I like that too. I was thinking about him as well. The Canadiens just gave up 8 goals. So if you're just joining the show, we rolled through some of the teams that have allowed the most shot attempts, scoring chances, high danger chances, and shots at 5 and 5 per 60. And the Habs are, if they're not first, they're second or third. So they've given up a whole lot. They're undisciplined. They take some penalties. So Dylan Strome is is a good call by you. It's just he's minus 180 for a point. So it's a little bit steep for me. Like, just in this example for people that are new to the show, you'd have to put $1.80 down to get $1 back. It's pretty steep. Anything over like minus 150, minus 155 as a single bet is a little much for me, but you want to put that into some sort of same game parlay or some sort of other parlay with Dylan Strome for a point, and say some of the guys that we've talked about, like Troy Terry for a point. He's got a 9-game point streak or 8-game point streak. Caulfield in the same game for a point. Or you want to go Ovechkin and Strome for a point. There's correlation there. They play together 5 and 5, a little bit of power play time together and stuff like that. But I think he probably hits the score sheet tonight. I think that's a pretty good bet there for you. Okay. Last one of the night. Back to the SJ Sharkies.
Battle of the heavyweights here.
Oh, my goodness. Finishing strong, Chicago and San Jose. I think most people are now like really like DFS. I noticed the Sharks have been we've been talking about them again all off season. Yep. When we did a draft show, I said to you, man, I don't have enough Sharks in my life. Like, the Sharks and the Ducks were just there at the end of drafts. And again, the usage is high with these players. They've been productive. Mikael Granlund is ranked as the 12th best fantasy hockey player in leagues with faceoffs. I know everybody doesn't play with faceoffs, but he's got 7 power play points. He's got 13 points in 11 games. He's got 5 goals over his last 5 games. He's got a ton of multi-point games over the last couple of games as well. 1 and 2 shots over the last 3 is not going to shy me away from taking his shot prop. And I think this is the first time all year I haven't seen like plus 130, plus 140, plus 150 for 3 shots for Mikael Granlund. Why? Because it's the Blackhawks. But still, minus 106 for Mikael Granlund. I like it. I'll say this. Vegas has been all over his point prop being juiced. Tonight, we're seeing 2 points at plus 175. We're seeing minus 160 for an assist. So Vegas is caught on with the production. But even still, DFS tonight, I'm sure he'll be a little popular. But that top line, getting a lot of ice time. Toffoli is also now at 3.5 shots, minus 165 for a point. So we're kind of running out of the value here, but we could pick some goal scorers, and there'll probably be some goal scorers here tonight. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going Bedard at plus 165, Bertuzzi at plus 250. I mean, I don't know who else to pick. I think I've bet on every Chicago game for the last 2 years. I've said Bedard's going to play. I like Bertuzzi as a player. He's playing on the top power play with Bedard and some other pretty good players. San Jose, Toffoli, like you said, he's hot. We talked about him a ton before the season. We talk about him almost all the time. Look, I mean, he's not fast. He's not flashy. But, dude, acquires points and scores goals. So I like him. And Zetterlund. Zetterlund's at plus 250 playing on the top line and playing on the top power play. So I really like that.
I like it too. And it was a little bit of a slow start. I know he scored his first game, but he's shooting again 3+ shots in 3 straight. He's got 3 goals over that span. He's got a point in every game and 4 over that span. He's minus 125 for 3 shots. I like that one. It's probably the best shot prop in that game. All right, so we will wrap her up there. Oh, baby, Donato, plus 400 anytime goal scorer, sleeper game of the night. I agree. I agree, Myron. I think from a DFS standpoint, it's pretty interesting too. To get in line. Reichel, anytime goal scorer, plus 400 low odds, 4th liner as well. Yeah, I mean, up and down the board, there's some pretty good odds. I think you can do like some sort of same game parlay with points with like Granlund, Toffoli. You can add Ekholm in there if you want. We got Zetterlund popping. Of course, we got Bedard in this game. Jake Wallman. Not seeing a point prop for him. He's plus 600 for a power play point. Wow. He's up on that. He's only got 1 power play point, but he's on the first power play and he's got 6 points in his last 2 games. He's got, had a 3 assist night and he followed it up with a 3-point night. I wish I could find a point prop on him. I'm not, but plus 600 for a power play point, not too bad. Yeah, the books are gatekeeping on the Wallman props. Cowards. I agree. Where are they? All I see is shot blocks. 1.5, minus 165, minus 175. The 3 shots is okay. Like if you're looking for some late night action, he's got 30 and 11 games. Like his last few games, 1-4, 3-3, 2-3, 5-2, 3-3, 1. He's been right there. And the fact he can get plus 125 for a guy that, could live in the 20 to 24 minute range is not too shabby. Would you drop Tippett or Horvat for Giroux, Kopitar, or Monahan points league? I think I would hang. I think I would hang on to those guys. I could see myself moving Horvat for Kopitar or Monahan if you wanted to points league. I'm not sure what the points are there for your league. If you get awarded more points for shots and you get points for hits, the guy that does have the highest ceiling there is probably Tippett. He's the biggest shooter of the bunch. He does throw his body around a little bit. If you're in a league with face-off wins, then Horvat and Kopitar and Giroux and Monahan get a little bit of a bump there. I'm fine with. I would just give Tippett maybe another day or two, and then if you wanted to move on from Horvat for Kopitar, it's a little bit of a sideways move. Again, depends on your league settings. Horvat will score more goals than Kopitar. Monahan is still slightly behind Kopitar and Horvat for me. I like him. His usage is there, but I think there's slightly a higher ceiling for the other guys there. Where are you at with that group of players?
Yeah, I mean, I still believe in Tippett. I think he'll get better as the year goes. Horvat is scary because the Islanders are scary. They just don't get points, right? Like, and I don't know, man. I mean, maybe Horvat is burnt or I don't know. Drew's a player I always like, but Ottawa is up and down. You just never know if he's going to show up. Kopitar is older, assists, it depends. Monahan, I mean, is wild to say, but is probably the best player out of that whole group right now. And mostly because of opportunity. He's going to play on the top line. He's going to play on the top power play. Like he's maybe right now one of the most important players for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I want someone that's going to be on the ice and have tons of opportunities. So I would start with Monahan, and then depending on your scoring, like you said, like it's so hard to say because you don't know the scoring, and every hockey league is different. Like, do you have plus minus? You shouldn't, but you might. Yeah. It's a wild thing to predict.
If you want to move on from Tippett, I mean, it's still like the first month of the season. We're still like just 3 weeks in, and he's starting to show signs lately, but he's not playing as much as I thought. It really does depend. If you had hits and shots, like extra points for hits and shots, that may be enough for me to hang on for another week. Yep. Monahan does have the 9 points in 9 games. Like Monahan and Kopitar are probably the best players there on the bunch. Like Kopitar is one of the most underrated players in the league every year. He's got 12 points.
Has been games. For a decade, it feels like.
Right. 12 points through 11 games, double-digit face-offs almost every single night, and he's getting dropped. His owner, the last few days has been dropped.
Which is wild. Like, he's on the ice. Like, I mean, a week of him not gaining points or whatever. Like, I guess if you were in just like a goals and assist league, like maybe you can move on from him. But like most leagues have other things like shots and blocks and face-offs or hits or whatever it is. Yeah. He's on the ice all the time in every situation. That means more opportunity, and typically opportunity means points in some way. So yeah, I'd probably say Kopitar and Monahan out of those players, but tough to say.
I'll say this: I own a lot of Tippett. I've yet to drop him. I'm not going to make any moves until maybe mid-November. We get around American Thanksgiving. That's like a good 6-7 week span of some of these players that I'm willing to hang on to and be patient with. Tippett was a guy that you probably drafted in the 5th round. He's got 40 goal upside. He's got 250 shot upside. 100. He had one game with 9 hits a couple weeks ago. Like, again, just know your settings. I'd be willing to wait it out a little bit longer for him. And, guys like Monahan and Kopitar are always going to be on the waiver wire there for you. Yes, Cole Caulfield for a point is a good play. As a single at -135, that's a bet I can get behind as a solo bet, as opposed to the Strome -180. One more, don't forget about Zetterlund too. One of my fantasy hockey sleepers. This is showing signs of life. Was a slow start for him, but certainly some signs of life. And I see the same thing saying the Islanders don't shoot the damn puck. They don't. They just pass it around. Their power play is just pathetic, man. Like, nobody wants to shoot it. Dobson's the only guy that wants to pull the trigger. All right, so let's wrap up here with a couple picks. For me, for sides, I like the Hurricanes at home, and it's a little bit juicy. Boston hasn't shown me a whole lot. I like Carolina at home. I know the West Coast trip back East Coast, maybe a little sluggish. I think probably the best play in that game may be the under. And when looking at size and totals, my upset would be with the Ducks. I got this feeling that the Habs can go into Washington and win, but I think the better play is Anaheim, given what we've seen from the Pens so far this season. Haven't really liked what I've seen from them. I like your Preds too. No McDavid, -120 on the money line. I can get behind Nashville on the money line as well. And I'll kick it over to you for some goal scorers, and then I'll wrap up with a couple props for you guys as well.
All right, here we go. Pasta, Lindholm, Aho, Svechnikov, Kyrou, Neighbors, Konechny, Tippett, Terry, McTavish, Malkin, McCann, Tolivin, Matthews, Nylander, Caulfield, Savkowski, Ovi, PLD, Leon, Ryan Hopkins, Forsberg, Stamkos, Bedard, Bertuzzi, Toffoli, Zetterlund. The 8-way Maniac parlay goes as follows. Pasta, Svechnikov, Konechny, Crosby, Matthews, Tolivin, Caulfield, Ovi. Ovi is the lock to score tonight, and I actually have another pretty interesting bet. I'm not saying do as I say or do as I do. I wouldn't say either of those things. Don't do anything that I do. But an interesting bet with some people with some really high score that I put into a parlay. McTavish +360, Tolivin +470, Savkowski at +400, Ryan Hopkins +270, and Zetterlund at +250. $1 pays out $16,975.
Oh wow, nice.
I mean, those guys will score tonight, right? I mean, it's very likely, and that's why. But because of their odds, this is first power play, first power play, first power play, first power play, first power play. Second line, top line, top line, top line. 4 of those 5 guys are playing on the top line, and all 5 of them are playing on the top power play. They could all score tonight. $1 gives you $1,600. Let's go.
Love it. Giddy up. Okay, so for me tonight, I like Terry for a point. He's got that 8-game point streak, right? It's the Pens, -125 for a point. I like Frank Vatrano for 3 shots, 4 straight games of threes, -145 for 3 shots. I like Rickard Rakell inside that same game, -130 for 3 shots. He's around -130 for a point as well. Could see some offense between the Ducks and the Penguins. Moving right along, next fave is probably Jeff Skinner at -130. For 3 shots. I like Jeff Skinner for a point as well, and Leon Draisaitl for 3 shots at -124. Going to Nashville. Well, I guess inside the same game. Marchessault, -140 for 3 shots, -125 for a point. I like Fabian Zetterlund, -125 for 3 shots. Mikael Granlund for 3 shots at -106. I got Jared McCann for a point at -120. Brennan Montour for 3 shots at +100. Max Pacioretty +135 for a point. Moving right along, other sheet. Sebastian Aho. I think I will drink a little bit of the juice for 3 shots at -150. Shane Gostisbehere for a point at +114. Jack Roslovic for 3 shots at -140. I got in my card under 6 in Carolina. Cole Caulfield for a point at -135. Suzuki, a little bit juicy at -160 for a point. And I got Neighbors for 2 shots at -143, +115 for the point. Sean Couturier for the point at +115. For some same game parlay stuff. Yeah, Wallman at your book is plus money. I like it. 6 points in back-to-back games, first power play, Blackhawks. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, for some same game parlay stuff like Aho, Svechnikov, Caulfield, Suzuki, maybe Ovechkin and Strome. You have like Terry and Carlson, although those guys are like decent odds for a single point. So maybe like Crosby and Raquel. With the Leafs, Matthews and Marner are gonna be a little bit too juiced, but you could do something like maybe Tavares and William Nylander, and then you could take Pacioretty as a single. I like Forsberg and O'Reilly together. Maybe take Marchessault as a single. You can do Nugent Hopkins and Hyman together, and maybe take Skinner as a single. For the Sharks, right? Like Granlund and Toffoli together. You could add Ekholm in there if you wanted to. The Chicago Blackhawks, of course, you could do TiVo and Bedard and round it out that way. There's some sneaky goal scorers, I think, tonight. Like Jacob Branagh at plus 390, Mangiapane at plus 350, Jeff Skinner at plus 310. You just gave a bunch of decent long shots and not even really long shots. Like guys are in top 6 roles and getting power play time. So there's some good value there in the goal scoring market. Yes, Vetrano shot prop, giddy up. All right. Random question here. Curious to know if you adjust how much you place on a bet based on odds, i.e. if something was minus 110, minus 135. This is a good question. I'm the type I want to get a full unit back. So if it's minus 135, it'd be like $1.35 or $135. You get 100 back. I'm not saying I'm a big shot here, but just as an example, same thing, minus 110. $1.10 to get $1 back. I like to get that full unit back. Like if I put $1 down on minus 135, I'm not getting that full. Like, you know what I mean? Like a 135 on that, I get the full profit of $1 back, $10 back, $100 back, $1,000 back, $100K back, big time roller like EY. That's the way that I like to go about things. If it was a minus 165, minus 175. I'd put that into a parlay with something else that I like that's around minus 165, minus 170 as well. And I just put the full unit down. Unless it was some sort of like 4, 5, 6 leg parlay, then I'm probably doing like 0.25 units or 0.10, 0.15, like maybe $5, $10, just smaller wagers. Obviously, the more you have in your card, the less likely you're going to win. Smaller wagers. But if there's 2 bets you really like that are juiced, like my goodness, I really like Ryan Strome to get a point at minus 180. I really like I don't know. Doesn't matter. Granlund at minus 200 to get a point. You put both of those guys in together and maybe you put the full unit on it and you probably get like, a unit and a half back or something. So longer shots, like anything plus 175, like tonight, Granlund, I think he's going to get 2 points at plus 175. I wouldn't put a full unit on that. It's a bit of a longer shot. Maybe put 0.5 or 0.25. So those longer shot ones, less of a wager, just like laddering. One guy for 3 shots, 1 unit. You like him for 4 shots, maybe 0.75 units, 5 shots, 0.5 units, and kind of work up the ladder that way. That's kind of how I go about things. No problem, anytime. Pasta for a goal tonight. I don't love it.
Yep.
I mean, if you're gonna pick any Bruin, sure, but they're not scoring right now, and their Hurricanes are pretty stingy. So I don't love it, but my goodness.
If someone's gonna, though, it's gonna
Pasta.
be him.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't think Draisaitl has the same success against Nashville without McDavid. That's a good point. He didn't earlier in the year. He was like 1 point shy, but he was all over it. And he really has owned Nashville. I'd say no. No worries. We actually didn't discuss it. No, we appreciate you, Robbie. You're good, man. You're one of everybody in here is good to ask a question at any moment they want to. He has owned, I went back, I forget the numbers. I think he had like 37 points in like a span.
Oh, he's been an absolute terror. And I don't think it has anything. I mean, obviously with McDavid on the ice on the power play, like you got to pay attention to him too. But like
Leon Draisaitl play together.
He's one of the best 5 players in the league. Like that's not hyperboil. That's not nothing. Like that's truth. 100% truth. He would be the best player on any team. He just happens to be the second best player because Connor McDavid's the best player in the world. And they somehow play on the same team and they can't win hockey games. So here we are.
They are again. All right. From Eric Young at the Eric Young, myself at Chris Meaney. Any questions? You're watching the replay a little bit later on. You can leave the comments there in the YouTube section. Hyper. Love it. All right. Yeah. Bjorkstrand, 1.5 shots. Sure. EY's on him to score a goal. He can get you 2 shots. He is the shooter. On the one of the few shooters. I like to see a few more guys shoot the puck a little bit more on the Kraken squad. He's one that's not afraid to shoot the puck. That's for sure. All right. Any questions? You're watching the replay a little bit later on. You could leave them there, and I'll circle back before puck drop. Good luck with all the picks and all the props. Yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Cheers.